Imagine walking down a crowded market street, the air filled with the rich, savory aroma of hot oil, toasted cumin, and roasted meat. In almost any corner of the globe, this scent leads you to a street vendor frying up one of the world's most popular snacks, the samosa. It is a simple, perfect creation, a pocket of thin, crispy dough folded into a neat triangle, packed with spiced minced beef, chicken, or lentils, and fried until it turns a beautiful golden brown. From the streets of Delhi to the cafes of London, it is a symbol of comfort, culinary heritage, and simple joy. But in the Horn of Africa, on the coast of Somalia, this crispy snack once became a capital offense. In the summer of 2011, in regions of Somalia controlled by the militant extremist group Al-Shabaab, armed fighters drove through towns with loudspeakers mounted on the backs of pickup trucks. They did not announce a military operation, a new tax, or a curfews. Instead, they delivered a decree that left the population in shock, a total, immediate ban on the manufacture, sale, and consumption of the samosa. The reason for the ban was not a dispute over ingredients, a health crisis, or a shortage of flour. The group declared that the snack was forbidden because of its shape. According to the militants, the three-sided, triangular structure of the pastry too closely resembled the Holy Trinity of Christianity. To eat a triangle, they claimed, was to promote a foreign faith and commit an act of religious betrayal. What followed was one of the most absurd campaigns of food policing in modern history. Street stalls were raided, cooking oil was poured into the dirt, and vendors who had spent decades perfecting their recipes were arrested and threatened with public flogging. This is the story of how a small, folded pastry became a battleground for political control, how an ancient trade route brought a global snack to East Africa, and how the people of Somalia resisted a reign of terror with quiet, domestic defiance. To understand how the samosa became a target of 20th-century extremists, we must first trace its global journey. The snack was not invented in Somalia, nor did it originate in India, where it is most famous today. Its birthplace lies in the medieval empires of the Middle East. Historical texts from the 10th century, including Persian cookbooks and poetry, make frequent mention of a snack called the Sambusaj. The word itself comes from the Persian Sambusaj, meaning triangular pastry. These early versions were luxury items, delicate pastries filled with minced meats, almonds, pistachios, and dried fruits, served to royalty in the grand courts of Baghdad and Isfahan. As Arab and Persian merchants sailed across the Indian Ocean, trading spices, textiles, and ivory, they brought their culinary traditions with them. The Sambusaj traveled along the ancient maritime trade routes, landing in the ports of the Swahili coast and East Africa, including the historic Somali capital of Mogadishu. In the kitchens of Somalia, the Middle Eastern pastry was embraced and adapted. The local population renamed it the Sambusa. They replaced the sweet fillings of the Persian courts with local ingredients, lean minced beef or goat meat, heavily seasoned with garlic, green onions, hot peppers, cumin, and coriander. The sambusa became a staple of Somali life, particularly during the holy month of Ramadan. As the sun set and families gathered to break their daily fast, the table was never complete without a platter of piping hot, crispy sambusas. It was a food of celebration, community, and peace, shared by rich and poor alike. But in the late 20th century, the peace of Somalia collapsed. Following the fall of the central government in 1991, the country plunged into decades of civil war, factional fighting, and lawlessness. Out of this chaos, in the mid-2000s, Al-Shabaab emerged. The group, whose name translates to the youth, sought to establish a strict, puritanical state based on an extreme interpretation of Sharia law. In the territories they captured, Al-Shabaab banned everything they deemed to be Western or un-Islamic. They outlawed music, dancing, television, and sports. They banned men from shaving their beards and forced women to wear heavy, enveloping robes. Their morality police patrolled the streets, looking for any sign of personal freedom or joy. In 2011, this campaign of control entered the kitchen. During the peak of the Ramadan season, when the demand for sambusas was at its highest, Al-Shabaab issued the fatwa banning the triangular snack. The militants claimed that the three corners of the pastry represented the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, making it a symbol of the Christian Trinity. In their eyes, the sambusa was a heretical food, and eating it was a form of idol worship. For the street vendors of Kismayo and Baidoa, the ban was an economic disaster. Many of these vendors were women, often widows of the Civil War, who relied on selling sambusas to feed their children. Suddenly, the simple act of rolling dough and frying meat could get them arrested, their equipment destroyed, and their livelihood erased. However, as journalists and local analysts dug deeper into the ban, they realized that the religious explanation of the Christian Trinity was merely a convenient cover. The real motives behind the ban were far more practical, dark, and economic. In 2011, the Horn of Africa was suffering from a devastating drought, which led to a catastrophic famine in southern Somalia. Food was scarce, and prices skyrocketed. In the refugee camps and struggling towns, cheap street food became a necessity for survival. To keep their prices low and make a profit during the famine, some unscrupulous street vendors began using contaminated ingredients. They stuffed their sambusas with rotten meat, or meat harvested from diseased animals and stray cats. Multiple cases of food poisoning and severe illness were reported in Al-Shabaab controlled areas. Al-Shabaab lacked the infrastructure, the training, and the bureaucracy to conduct professional food safety inspections or regulate the markets. Instead of building a public health system, they used the only tool they knew: absolute prohibition enforced by terror. By inventing a religious justification, the myth of the Christian Trinity, they could ban the food entirely, stopping the health crisis while asserting their absolute authority over the daily lives of the population. But Al-Shabaab underestimated the cultural power of the Sambusa. You can ban a political party, you can ban a book, and you can ban public gatherings. But it is almost impossible to ban a food that is prepared in the privacy of a family home. Behind closed doors, in the kitchens of Somali homes, the oil kept bubbling. Families continued to make sambusas in secret. They rolled the dough, filled it with meat, and folded them into the forbidden triangles. They fried them quietly, making sure the smell of spices did not drift out into the street where Al-Shabaab patrols could detect it. Eating a sambusa became a quiet, delicious act of resistance, a statement that the militants could control the streets, but they could not control the dinner table. In the years that followed, Al-Shabaab was gradually pushed out of Mogadishu, Kismayo, and other major urban centers by African Union forces and the Somali military. As the black flags of the militants were lowered, the street stalls reopened. The cauldrons of hot oil returned to the market corners, and the golden, crispy triangles of the sambusa were once again stacked high on platters. Today, the sambusa remains a symbol of Somali resilience. It is a reminder of a dark period of extremist rule, but also a testament to how a simple, global snack can survive the worst forces of history. The militants tried to erase the triangle, but the sambusa outlasted the tyranny, remaining a hot, delicious, and undefeated part of the Somali spirit.